Welcome to our pre-show, the show before the show, our official show where we tell you what's coming up and give you a behind-the-scenes look. June is Pride Month, and one of our guests today is Brittany Anderson of IAM District 77 in Minnesota. She's relatively new to the IAM, but she's not new to the labor movement at all, so wait until you hear her story. She spent time in New York, and she'll tell us about her life experience, how she joined the Machinists Union, or unions in general, she's been in a few, and why she became an activist. Activism is very important, especially with a Supreme Court decision that came out today, Janus versus AFSCME Council 31, and it was 5-4 for Janus. So we are going to discuss that in specifics. So we have a few minutes. It's about 2:56. We're about 4 minutes away. We also have an Instagram story going on. So hi everybody on Instagram. That's on the desk as well. We're going to have a giveaway of this little thermos mug type thing. So you get to type in a word, and the word that we chose is union. So type in union. We're going to stop it in about 10 minutes, and then we'll choose one of you to win this little type of thermos mug. So come on in, Delane. Delane just came into the studio. This is our behind-the-scenes version. And Delane, we have Instagram stories going.
Hey, Instagram, how are you?
Hey.
Right.
So we actually had a little live with Jim Price joined us on Instagram. It was both of us.
Thank you, Jim, for the government employee shirt. I appreciate it.
All right.
So we can represent for the government employees.
Right, right.
Who have their own battles that we're fighting right now, too. So
I know I just told them, you know, today's decision about Janus versus AFSCME Council 31, we're going to talk about that. I'm just refreshing the stream, but, you know, what was your reaction to that when you first heard it? Because we were praying, I was praying for the Supreme Court justices to do the right thing. And you kind of have a feeling of how things are going to go, but I just know that I would still fight for my workers' rights no matter what. And I know you're a fighter too, so tell them a little bit while I get my stream going what your initial reaction was.
You know, I just posted something on my Facebook page, and it's really talking about the labor movement in general. Politicians didn't create the labor movement. The Supreme Court didn't create the labor movement. So they sure as heck won't destroy the labor movement. Now we need to keep that in mind as we go forward, and we continue this fight, and we have to continue to organize, mobilize, and service. That's what I think this decision means for me. We just have to really concentrate on servicing our members and making sure that people understand what unions, how helpful they are and how beneficial they are in your everyday life.
That's the
especially
important
for your
thing.
family.
I mean, there's so many benefits of being in a union. We can fight for better wages, better working conditions, safe working conditions, to make sure that people aren't killed on the job or injured on the job, making sure that we have better benefits. You know, we have great benefits like free college in the Machinists Union, the opportunities to further your education. So there's so many things, and I told somebody yesterday on Facebook that you don't realize the union benefits sometimes until you don't have one.
Until you don't have one.
You know, once those things are gone, there was a woman who was a journalist who said she misses her union so much, you know, because of the good treatment that she received, the respect and dignity on the job, and now she doesn't have that as much. So we just want to educate so many people. But I'm so happy about the polls that are coming out that are saying that millennials are really accepting of unions. And I think it was over 65% really understood what unions stand for. So hopefully they will stick with us.
And I'm excited about the energy that came once this decision was dropped today. Just the energy that's out there from the labor movement of people being excited about being a union member.
Yes.
And so I think we're going to be all right.
We are. I have my sign that fell down over there, but people are on Facebook and Twitter, and they're holding up the signs that say union. I'm proud to be union. So I took a picture. You took a picture. I think Jim Price took a picture. Yeah, so if you're a union member, make a sign, hold it up, and say union. Let people know that you are proud to be union. You are going to stick with the union. I know it's backwards on Instagram, but it says union. So we are getting there. So, we're getting really close to 3 o'clock.
Very close.
So it is 3 o'clock right now. So let's get started.
Activate your voice.
Activated now.
Voice activation.
Live from Maryland, this is Activate Live.
Welcome to Activate Live, our weekly show featuring machinist union members across the United States and Canada. I'm Tanya Hutchins, coming to you live from IAM headquarters in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. Today we continue our look at Pride Month, and we're giving away a thermos, just like you see this. Everybody's getting mad at me for calling it a thermos. It's a cup. It's an insulated cup that I call a thermos. So watch this. That little crawl right down there, because all you have to do is write the word union in comments on Facebook, and you have about 10 minutes to enter, and we'll announce the winner at the end of the show. But we have so much to discuss, and right now here's Delane Adams with the latest IAM news. And probably the biggest news today was the U.S. Supreme Court decision. It finally made a decision in Janus versus AFSCME, which is the American Federation of
State, council, municipal employees.
County and municipal employees. I had to remember that. So we're not talking about federal workers, even though federal workers are under attack as well. But this particular decision was about government employees that are not at the federal level. And they voted in favor of Mark Janus, who didn't want to pay his fair share of union dues.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that this came down. I think a lot of people were expecting this decision to come down the way it did, 5-4. And it's going to affect a lot of members. 22 states, I believe, will be affected by this decision in the public sector. But we have to go forward. We have to go forward, look at this decision, and see how we can best grow from this decision and not go backwards from this decision. So there's a lot going on with this, and we have to realize that we have to get stronger, not get weaker.
Now, our international president of the Machinist Union, Bob Martinez, has been very vocal about this.
Very vocal.
And he has issued a statement that we can put up on the screen.
Yeah, let me go ahead and read this. Let me put on my wife's glasses. I use these little granny glasses that my wife gives me. The Janus decision is just the latest tactic of corporations and wealthy donors who want to take away our freedom at work. The radical right will never defeat a wave of working people joining together for a better life. Union membership is growing, and we will continue to organize, mobilize, and defeat those who want to destroy unions and silence workers. This is war, and working people are going to fight back. That's a statement from International President Bob Martinez.
And we've already seen all over social media union members saying that they're proud of being union members and they will continue to fight back because it is our right to organize.
It is our right to organize. And I think it's also not only our right to organize, but also to really talk about the benefits of being in a union. And I think with this moment and this decision, with all the news coverage around this, then this gives us our chance to really talk about what unions have done for us, our families. Generations of people have been able to have a better life as a result of being in a union.
That's right. I mean, federal law says we have the right to organize, we have the right to negotiate and collectively bargain for better wages, better working conditions, things that will improve our lives.
Yeah, and especially, and I got personal experience. I used to actually do some work in Illinois with Council 31, who Mark Janus was a part of. And so Council 31, the great work that they do throughout the state of Illinois for state employees, it's a great organization, do a lot of great work. So Mark Janus definitely benefited from a union contract, and it's just disappointing that he took it this far, and now this decision is against unions.
And we have other things going on as well within our union.
We do. We actually heard recently that Harley will be moving production overseas. You see the picture of Harley Davidson right there that on your screen.
And there's a big USA right underneath it.
Big USA. And this is disturbing as we go forward, and President Martinez and others have made strong comments, chastising Harley Davidson for making this move or making this announcement in their SEC filing. As you can see right there, President Martinez has said that Harley workers are left wondering if Harley is still committed to manufacturing in America. Their announcement leaves us with more questions than answers. Isn't Harley afraid that replacing Made in America with Made in Thailand will destroy their iconic brand. If the European Union rescinds its tariffs, will Harley drop its plans to offshore more production? This is looking like just another excuse by Harley to justify moving more American jobs offshore. Amen, Brother Martinez. That is on point because this is causing a lot of uneasiness among our members, not only in, of course, still Kansas City, where the announcement of the closure was announced on January 30th, but also for our members in Milwaukee and in York, Pennsylvania. Still unclear on what this means for everybody across the nation.
So that's another benefit of a union. We will always speak out for good North American jobs.
We will. We will.
That have livable wages.
And it's important, like you said, to have, right here we're able to stand up and get information out to all our members across North America. And that's another benefit of being in a union, being able to have all this information in one place so you can have tools and tactics to use as you're out there talking about your union.
That's right. We mentioned the Janus Supreme Court case. But there had been some previous cases that had really gutted the Voting Rights Act. And I know there's a panel discussion going on right now, like as we speak, in downtown Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill that involves the Congressional Black Caucus. So they are talking right now with a Civil and Voting Rights Task Force panel discussion. One of the cases they're discussing is Shelby versus Holder, which was gutting, the Voting Rights Act. And voting is so important. This is where we make our voices heard. In the voting booth. And they're also talking about Husted versus APRI, the A. Philip Randolph Institute. John Husted, Attorney General in Ohio, that basically said that states can purge the voters' rolls. And I was actually lucky. When I lived in Ohio and I moved to Washington, D.C., I actually had a friend who called me who worked at the Board of Elections and said, hey, your name's about to come off. Do you want to stay on it here? And I said, no, I did move, so, change it and keep it the way it's supposed to be. But not everybody gets a phone call saying that your name's about to come off the rolls. Yeah,
this is an attempt by conservative right-wingers to turn back the hands of time. And unfortunately, people like Congressman John Lewis and others who fought so hard in order to make sure we have those rights, they're in jeopardy.
Well, we're glad that we are hearing from our members all across the United States and even getting support from people in Canada as well. So we thank you for making your voices heard on Facebook, Twitter, and for those of you watching us on YouTube as well. Is there anything else you'd like to mention, Delane, before we move on?
No, just, we just want to thank the Government Employees Department for providing me with this nice shirt so we can definitely show our support for our IAM government employees, NEFI IAM employees.
Yeah, we're sticking with our unions. We're sticking with the Machinist Union, sticking with NEFI IAM, sticking with TCU IAM, and if you're a union member out there, stick with your union.
Yeah, definitely stick with your union. We got a lot of good things going on and more to come.
And that graphic is online. We've been sharing it, so you can share that graphic as well that we received from the AFL-CIO. So thank you so much, Delane.
All right. Thank you, Tanya. Have a great show.
Appreciate it. You two can join the conversation. So let us know what you think. Comment now to activate your voice. That's why we call this show Activate Live, because activism is all about what we call voice activation. So let us know. We have Adriana Picasso. She said, hi, sad news today. Yes, we agree with you, Adriana. A woman's place is in her union. Yes, it is. It really raises the standard of living for many women. I think it says Juliana is there saying excellent conversation opener for organizing, and it is. I mean, we want to make sure that every worker, Juliana, is able to organize their workplaces. Scott Geyer is saying hello from NEFI 1429. Keep up the fight, Scott, one of our federal workers, federal union members. Also, Michael Ringo saying hello from 1345. Hello, Michael. Haven't seen you in a while, so thanks for joining us. Jim Price is saying Husted versus APRI is a very important ruling. We have to make sure that we keep registering voters. And we have people in every state of the United States registering voters, getting out the vote. People of all ages. Millennials are helping to get out the vote. We have retirees that are helping to get out the vote. So keep the comments coming on Facebook, Twitter. You can use live chat on YouTube. And yeah, tell us how you're keeping up the fight. Tell us how you're sticking with the union. Ramon Garcia, hello to you too. So thank you so much. If you entered our thermos giveaway on Facebook, time is up, okay? So stop commenting. We're going to announce the winner at the end of the show. So we have a lot of people that have entered already. I think I did a little bit early. Somebody's actually calling me, so I'm going to say no to that call because I'm a little bit busy. But June is Pride Month, and when we honor and celebrate the contributions of our LGBTQ members, that's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and questioning members, and make their voices heard. Well, Brittany Anderson is a machinist and a field director for the Southeast Minnesota Area Labor Council in Rochester, Minnesota. And that's where she's joining us live. So I want to thank Brittany for taking the time to join us today. There she is. Thank you, Brittany.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Brittany, first off, let's learn a little bit about you. What does your job entail in Minnesota?
So I'm the field director for 7 counties in southeast Minnesota, which is a pretty rural area. We are known for being the home of the Mayo Clinic here in Rochester. And we're kind of a small operation. So as a field director, you juggle everything from election season and getting people out onto the doors and the phones, talking to other union members about the candidates that we've endorsed. It entails supporting any contract fights or strikes that are going on in the area. Really, however we can be a resource to our affiliated unions, I'm there.
Excellent. Well, I know you're relatively new to the Machinist Union, but you've been in unions for a very long time. So tell us a little bit about when you first joined a union and how that happened.
Yeah, so I actually grew up in a small town in southwestern Minnesota. And there's the photo of me when I signed my contract to join the Machinist Union. I was very excited.
I'm so glad you did.
But yeah, so I grew up in this tiny town where unions weren't really on my radar. But I was raised by a single mom who always worked multiple jobs just to get by, always a full-time and a part-time job. And we could still barely make ends meet. And I saw the same thing in so many other families in my community. So very early on, I developed this sense that working people don't always get a fair shake, no matter how hard they work. And I'm queer, and now very out and proud, but growing up in a small conservative town and staying in the closet isn't easy. So I did the cliche thing and took off to New York City for college. And while in college, I got involved in Occupy Wall Street, which was an incredible and interesting experience. But I met some union organizers there who really understood my experience, and they mentored me and encouraged me to join this program called Union Semester, which is part of the City University of New York, where they have their very own school that was started and funded by labor unions to educate union members, which is really amazing. And so that introduced me to the vibrant New York City union community, and it really convinced me that unions are the vehicle for social and economic justice in this country. So then right out of that program, I started working for Local 338 of the UFCW, RFWDSU, which is a grocery store local. First, I did a lot of voter registration and just going around talking to grocery store workers about what a union is, especially weekends and evenings, those shifts that may not see anybody else, and it's a lot of young people working them. And then I had an, oh, yep. Go ahead.
Brittany, that's an important thing about, you're talking about what a union is. Do you think we have enough education around that? Because they don't really teach that in schools anymore. Right,
yeah. My generation, we don't usually know what unions really are unless we have a parent that's in a union. But as soon as we find out what they are, we love them and we're joining them in record numbers. Unions really speak to our values. Yeah.
Now, you have been very active on social media, schooling people about today's Supreme Court decision on Janus versus AFSCME. First, tell us what your general reaction is, and then just the misconceptions you've been clearing up.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing to keep in mind is that this is not some kind of devastating death blow to unions. I'm seeing a lot of news headlines about that. It is an orchestrated attack on unions and all working people by these wealthy corporate interests, but it's not defeat by any means. We're the labor movement. Look at our history of rising up together against all odds. There's real power in that when we recognize our common interests and values and unite to demand better. So we may have to make a few adjustments and changes, but I really have faith in my union brothers, sisters, and siblings.
That's right. We have to remember that we still have the power to organize. We still have the power to collectively bargain and negotiate for better working conditions. We are sticking with our union. And speaking of sticking with our union, if we could pull up your Twitter page, you had a picture that you took where you were holding up a union sign, Norma Ray style, and there's like just a picture there. And throughout Twitter, there it is, right there in the middle, you're holding up your sign as well. Just tell us why it was so important for you to do that publicly.
Yeah, one, some people don't really know what unions are, and I think especially where I'm back in Minnesota, where we have Minnesota Nice, and people are sometimes scared to talk about politics. It's considered impolite, or we're scared of offending anybody. But this is really a fundamental fight for our ability to put food on the table for our families and to have accessible, affordable health care. I mean, this is the most important fight of our lives.
Well, we can't give up. That's the important thing.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about how you first got involved with Pride at Work, because I know you previously worked as the president of the New York City chapter.
I did, yeah. So I went to the Next Up convention a few years ago in Chicago with over 1,000 other young union members, and I'm sure some of you watching also were there. It was a really transformative experience. And I went to a workshop called Queering the Labor Movement, where I met some folks from New York City and from across the country, and we all were really interested in and had felt the power of unions for LGBTQ people. And so we wanted to do more, and so we started our own chapter.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, I know since you've been in different areas of the country and you've also traveled as well, how is the work environment different, if at all, where you are now compared to New York City?
Well, there are a lot more cows here. But yeah, but I think, like I said earlier, it's sometimes people are hesitant to talk about politics, or even when I'm training people to go knock on doors or make phone calls, they're hesitant to directly ask the question, can we count on your vote for X candidate? Or will you vote yes for the union? And people sort of want to dilute the question to make it more comfortable. But once you get Minnesotans on board, they are all in heart and soul, and they will bake for you and bring stuff to the meetings, and it's incredible.
Now, you've also worked on the AFL-CIO's Young Workers Advisory Council. How does that council approach work affecting the LGBTQ community?
Yeah, so we approach it as millennials that all of these issues are completely intertwined. From all of us being workers or women, people of color, immigrants, Muslims, queer, trans, everything is intertwined and intersectional. And so all of our programming is created to band everybody together. Yeah, so I think it's really exciting, and it's what the labor movement is all about.
One of the things we've been talking about this month is how do we tell young workers to, what tactics can they use if they run into discrimination on the job? What do you tell young workers?
Yeah, so unions provide the best protection against discrimination. If you go through some of the government agencies, it can take years to get a real remedy. But when you have a union contract, you immediately have your coworkers, your brothers and sisters there who have your back. And then you have all of the legal resources and your union rep ready to go. So it's one of the fastest, most supportive ways to solve problems of discrimination.
You know, it's so wonderful to see so many young people speaking out across the country because they're making their voices heard. What is your message to them as we head into the midterm elections?
Yeah, so voting is obviously essential, but it's the work that leads up to voting that not just wins elections, but builds movements. And so this massive push to win in 2018 for all of the labor endorsed candidates is going to be focused on talking to fellow union members at the doors, on the phones, and in our workplaces. These are the same tactics that we use to win anything, even our union elections. And so it's crucial that you're getting involved through the entire process, in addition to showing up on election day.
Anything else going on in Minnesota we should know about, Brittany?
Well, it's not winter anymore, so that's always a plus.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out to join us. We're always glad to have a Machinist Union member on the show. So thank you. Good luck with your fight. And thank you for sticking with the Machinist Union.
Thank you. Let's get out there and organize.
All right. Thanks. Well, you can comment anytime on this video, even during the replay, and we thank all of the people that have done that so far. We have so many people who have joined us. Jim Price has joined us, Ramon Garcia, Linda Donahue joining us from 2061. Gary Britton says solidarity from Scotland. How's that? That's amazing. Randy Irwin says the Janus decision is garbage. Elections matter. It's time to get mad. So you're right, Randy. We are getting mad, and we're going to turn that emotion into action. Miguel Ibanez, Michael Spangler says Leuna Power. Nice to hear from Leuna. We love working with other unions as well. If we all work together, we can really get things done. Adriana Picasso says you are strong unionists. Thank you for all you do. And Randy saying, young people, the union is your family at work. That is so true. Definitely your family at work. So we're going to mention a few things in the calendar. Oh, and I can even see here, yeah, I'm looking at these comments. I'm still getting used to this down here. So thanks for commenting, Randy, and watching, because I know Randy's busy too, and he's taking the time to do this and make his voice heard as well. So we always like to tell you what's going on within the Machinist Union and the labor movement, so grab your pens. The Machinist Union members who are interested in taking classes in the summer at the William W. Wimpesinger Education and Technology Center, registrations are due now. Our training center is in Hollywood, Maryland, so you can register now for August classes. Leadership 1, Train the Trainer, and Spanish, Train the Trainer. The Community Services class, that deadline is July 9th for the class that is held in September. And all of the information can be found on the website. It's wimpesinger.iamaw.org, Wimpesinger Center at iamaw.org. Our Machinist State Council meeting that's coming up is the Texas State Council in Austin. That's from June 29th to July 1st. As far as our conferences and conventions go, here's the list. The TCU IAM convention is July 25th in Nevada. Joe Heckman and I expect to be there for a special edition of Activate Live. I'll be going down there saying Nevada and probably coming back saying Nevada. The IAM Safety and Health Conference is August 12th in Maryland. Register for that as soon as possible. The LACLA Convention is August 8th in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And we also have the Pride at Work Convention coming up August 23rd in Phoenix. Joe and I hope to be there as well. So make sure we're going to keep you up to date on all of these dates. And we have actually a date that is tomorrow. You could save the date for the Celebrating Solidarity reception is tomorrow at the AFL-CIO in downtown Washington, D.C. They're going to be honoring the Union Veterans Council. So that is a big event that is being sponsored by Pride at Work. So I'm going to go down there and show my support for Pride at Work and the Union Veterans Council. So that should be an excellent event as well. I got to go back to these comments just for 1 second because Randy is on a roll. He said in November, we get even. That is right. You can get even. This is supposed to be a democracy, so you can make your voice heard at the ballot box. You know, I never like when any type of government entity, whether it's city, state, local, or federal, tries to turn over a vote that the people have. So we have to make our voices heard, and we will do that in November and every November. So thank you, Randy. I'm going to refresh the screen just one more time to make sure that I'm not missing any other comments that are coming through from any of our viewers, whether you're union or non-union. We know you're watching, and you can comment as well. You don't have to be in a union to comment, although we hope to get you into a union so you can get the benefits of being in a union. And earlier in the show, we mentioned that we were giving away this thermos type mug that says Activate Live. So we want to thank all of you that commented. And I have the names of the hats. I'm going to look in here and see what we have. And hopefully the person's watching. Caleb Whitney, congratulations. So I know you can't read it, it's really tiny, but Caleb Whitney, thank you for commenting. You just go ahead and send us a private message, or are we going to send the direct message to Caleb? So we'll get your shipping information on where we can send this little thermos type mug right to you. So thank you so much. Well, that is it for this episode of Activate Live. Keep the comments coming. Oh, wait a minute. I have one more thing to notice. See this picture right here of me? This was a couple years ago on July 4th. Thank you, Joe, for reminding me. Joe Heckman just popped this up on the screen because we want you to keep an eye on our Twitter account. On July 4th, take pictures of what you're doing on July 4th, whether you're grilling, whether you're at a parade. Show us what you're doing. Give us a picture of you because we would like to highlight you, our IAM members. And we are going to use hashtags like, you know, members of the IAM. And after July 4th, we will take those pictures from Twitter and highlight our members on all our social media channels. So we'd like to highlight you more. We want this to be member-centric in our communications with you. So don't forget to take pictures on July 4th, no matter what you're doing. Send them in to us. Tweet us on July 4th. And you can do that on Twitter. Just mention @Machinists Union. You can put, I guess, as long as you mention us, it will get to us and we will see it. And also use the hashtag members of the IAM. So we'll like to do this on a regular basis. So keep those comments coming. Activate your voices in your communities. Thank you so much to everybody who has joined us, and thank you to Caleb as well. And remind you, Caleb, we're going to send you a direct information. So you can still join us next Wednesday. We won't be live, but I recently sat down with Machinists Union International President Bob Martinez, and you can watch that interview at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, July 4th. So see you then. Have a great Independence Day and happy Pride Month.